If you don't know what Babylon's Fall is, then you're not on your own, because I didn't have a clue until I made this video. But I've gathered up as much information as I can on this. This will just give you a brief oversight of what the game's about and what's going to happen with it. And when it finally comes out, I'll do more of a robust review on it. But for now, let me know what you think of it. What have you thought of the trailers so far? And are you excited? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, let's start at the top. So it is made by Platinum Games, and yes, they are the guys who created Bayonetta and Nier Automata. And from what I've seen of the video so far, it's like they're basically trying to take those two concepts and bring it to the multiplayer world. So yes, it is multiplayer, you get to play it with your friends, and it is an action RPG. It works in a similar sort of vein as Phantasy Star Online. So if you haven't played the originals, basically you have a central hub, you choose your mission, you go do them, and then you get some rewards for completing it in a certain way. The missions are all based around this giant big tower, and each of the missions have different varieties of difficulties. And depending on the difficulty also depends on certain criteria based on that level. So for example, you will be allowed only a certain amount of healing potions, and you'll only be allowed to die a certain amount of times. So as you can imagine, not only do you need to stay on your toes, but you also need to make sure that you've got your appropriate gear for the appropriate level. Now, when it comes to actually your weapons and abilities, this is where it gets kind of cool, because your character can carry up to 4 weapons at any given time. And each one of the weapons basically maps to a certain attack that you have. So you have light attacks, you have heavy attacks, and you're given 2 spiritual attacks as well, or spiritual weapons. And some of the examples that they use is that, say, you can have like a sword in your light attack, so you're doing quick damage, and then for the heavy attack you'll have like a big hammer, and you can do then the big large crushing damage with it. Alternatively, if melee damage isn't your thing, then you can have a bow in your slot, and you can have a melee weapon for up and close. And I mean, the great thing and the main takeaway about this is just the fact that the builds will have lots of customization, and you can have a whole variety of playstyles depending on how you personally want to play the game. Now, the spiritual weapons that I talked about earlier basically are special abilities that are invoked on the 2 weapons that you've got equipped. So for example, if you have a shield, then when you use your spiritual weapon, it will create a giant barrier, for example. If you've got a wand, then it will fire out a whole load of energy blasts, or if you've got a bow, for example, it will just fire a whole ton of arrows at the opponent. Now, each time you use your spiritual weapon, it will drain a gorge until you basically run out of it. If you want to then refill it, it means you've got to use your standard attack. So essentially it just works like any normal standard special move bar. The great thing about the spiritual bar is though that it actually fills up relatively quickly, meaning that you can actually mix in your special abilities in a nice natural flow. Sometimes I find when you've got special abilities, for example, it can get quite janky, and it just feels like you're attacking till it gets to the max, using it and then repeating the same loop. But being able to mix in those with a nice fluid flow feels really good, and I'm actually excited to see some of the combos that you can produce with that. So in terms of the actual combat, however, it does play very similar to Nier Automatas. You've got jump, you can dodge, you're able to do combos, and you can also weave in and out. Also, if you're a fan of Devil May Cry, you'll be pleased to hear that there are juggling combos that you can learn, and also in true Platinum fashion, there are also gradings after each level. And these range from Stone to Pure Platinum, and basically are a score against how well you did in the level, how many attacks, combos, deaths, healing, etc. So the overall goal of the game is to collect loot or treasure inside of the game. So when you're killing monsters or avoiding traps, you're basically given what's known as these color-coded relics. And at the end of the level, when you finish, the relic opens up and it gives you all the loot inside. And just as the same as any other ARPG, you'll get a whole load of garbage in there, and occasionally you'll end up with a really nice legendary or shiny piece of gear which you can then use to progress to the harder levels later on. Personally, I'm really excited for this. It has had some mixed commentary from the test build, but nonetheless it does give out vibes of a 3D-esque style Diablo. Anything that is looter-esque I'm a big fan of. I really liked the Borderlands series. As I mentioned, I really like Diablo 2. I love Path of Exile, and I'm really excited to see what happens with this one. Anyway, that's all the details I've got so far. When I know more, I will do another video, but for now, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. We'll do a more detailed breakdown when we've got some more footage to go through, but for now, have a great week and have a great day.